Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I have the J, which is a good scoring tile, so I'm looking for a 5-letter play beginning with J, and I can see Jows and Jails. Jows is going to leave a better rack leave. £40 points. Pretty good. That looks close to a bingo. Timbrel, I think, is good, and that plays at A8 down, making timbrels. It also plays in row I, underneath Jows, and above it. But all of those spots may be blocked. I'm looking in column 5 to see if I've got a double-double. Can't see one. I'm also looking at the other floaters in Jows. Can't see anything with the J. The A looks promising. I've got the able ending. But I can't see anything. So it's just timbrel, and I have a slight doubt about that, but I am going to play it. And that stays available. My opponent does manage a double-double, but not a bingo. This will score well if it stays on the board. Timbrel's 95. And I draw the first blank. I've got the WU combination, which isn't great, but the blank offers such flexibility that there may well be a bingo here. Warring is good with the blank as an A. I can't see anywhere to play that. I've also got the UN beginning, but that then can't be used with the ING ending. I've got gun with WIR. I haven't seen a bingo yet, or a playable bingo yet, but there are quite a few floaters on this board. I'm just wondering about out ring, down from the O of Jows. Not sure about that with a W. Now the A of geoidal looks promising. Nothing new provided by my opponent, which is a shame. I was hoping to have a spot to play warring. I am going to run through the alphabet, but it's very hard to keep in mind all of the floaters on this board. So I've got wing as a component part of a word. Not seen anything yet. And there could well be a number of bingos here. I'm mainly seeing ING words in my mind. Now, what about unwiring? Which would play through the I of timbrels. I will try that if I see nothing better. I think it's good. It's not going to get doubled though. That looks like there could be something. Okay, well I think I will play unwiring. And I think this is the better spot for it. £67 points. And I draw the second blank. Not such a good set of letters to go with it. Just waiting to see if unwiring comes off. I do have a small amount of doubt about it. Now Vizzy is good, V-I-Z-Y. So it may be possible to play that somewhere. Great, unwiring stays on. Vizzy and Vizzying are both good. Neither of those, or Vizzying doesn't give me a bingo. Now I do have Viney at C1 across. I don't have to burn the Z. And in fact, getting rid of the V and the Y and one of the N's is probably a higher priority. So I do have Viney across here. For 29 points, which achieves a lot. My Y could also go after BA, but I don't have anything to go after EL. My Z could go in front of EL, so I could play Zin, Z-I-N. 39 points, 10 more points, but that would be retaining the V and the Y. I think I'd rather hang on to the Z because that spot in column 3 remains available. And if I draw an I, I've also got Zin across from A1. This doesn't feel great. 15 minutes on my clock. So am I missing something good? Well, I could play Envy across from the E of Timbrels. 18 points, that's not worth... The I isn't worth 11 points on my rack. I think I will go with this. It's quite good opening the board up when I've got a blank. Not good. Close to Gansfeld. Not close enough. And I've got a duplicate N again. And I don't have an I for playing Zin. And Zen isn't good. So I could play Zell in column 3 beside Jibed. But then I'm keeping both ends, which I don't wish to do. This is going to be a tricky rack to sort out. And would have been helped had I retained the I. I'm looking at the triple letter squares on the board to see if I can get my Z on one of them. Now I could play Nef at A1, which gets rid of the F and splits up the duplicate N. And it scores over 20 points, but I'm expecting that spot may well be taken by my opponent since I've just provided it. So it may be a better strategy to get rid of an N and the F. But I'm struggling to see alternative spots which score anything. Finn at A6 only gets 6 points, which is pretty poor. Yeah, there goes my spot, and 37 points for my opponent, so he's only 60 points behind now. So where can I play off the F? I could play Elf for 14. And I note for future reference, well, I was going to say that only takes an X, but the X has been played. "14 minutes on my clock. Fid is good, but I've got nothing to go in front of BA. I'm really hampered by the lack of floating vowels because I've only got one vowel myself. And that's another reason for playing elf. Since I have only one vowel, retaining it is important. I'd like to have split up the duplicate N, but if I'd only played off one, then L and N have poor synergy. So it's not the worst thing in the world having duplicate N. There are only two more unseen. What I don't like about this play is the miserable score. So am I missing something? I could play Fend at L1 for 13 points, splitting up the duplicate N. But I don't think that that's good, because although on pure score and rack leave it probably is better, it's providing two very good hotspots. It's opening up these triple word squares in column 1, and it's also placing an E to allow a high-scoring 5-letter play in column 2. Elf doesn't give too much away. Yeah. Just thought for one moment I had influenza down from the I, but that's a 9-letter play, so I can't possibly have that. Well, I'm not overjoyed about this, but I think I will go with it. I draw one of the ends. I've now got 3 of them, so this is really annoying. The Z is generally a good tile to have, but it really does benefit from vowels. Nice play by my opponent. Now, I am going to burn the blank. I have Sazhen across here. This is going to score a bingo-y score, I think. 81 points. I don't think I could have retained the blank and resolved the rack, so I'm quite grateful for this opportunity. And it means I'm maintaining a good lead. I'm 80 points ahead. I've got a more balanced rack now. Some vowels have showed up, which would have gone well with the Z. But I've got duplicate tiles, so I'm looking to play off an N and an O and probably a V with it. So a play of Nova somewhere would work. I thought column 1 would be quite hot for plays beginning with the V of Viney, but I haven't had such a play, and don't now. I've got Bahuna in row D, Boona rather, 22 points, which would keep the VN, so it would sort out the duplicates, score okay, and burn 5 tiles, which is good because it would help to expedite the end of the game. I'm looking in column 3, parallel to jived. My H could go next to id, as could my V. But I don't have anything to go next to EL, so I'd be limited to playing Ho in that spot, and that's not good enough. I haven't seen anything which appeals apart from Boona. That stays available. 35 points for my opponent, so he's scoring well. Quite doesn't take an S at the end. Nothing new provided by my opponent. The V is not a great tile to have, but it is a scoring tile. And one V's already been played, so by keeping a V, I'm not risking having both of them. This is another play which I don't feel great about. The score isn't fabulous. but it does achieve a number of my objectives. That looks pretty good. I have Vaunter. Can't see anywhere to play it. Now, what about Adventure? Well, nowhere to play that either. Vauntier would be good through an I. Row A is a bingo lane beginning with the T, so a play beginning TAU. I would have unaverted through ED. Well, nothing's coming to mind. Again, I can't see any plays in column 1 beginning with the V of Viney, whether a bingo or a non-bingo. Well, except I do have Vaunter in that spot, retaining the V. But this is quite a bingo-y set of tiles. Well, having said that, Vaunter's going to score over 30 points. So a better move would have to score about that, I think. Now my U could go above the G of unwiring. So if I had a play beginning UNV, a 6-letter play, it would score very well. I can't see such a play. And my A can also go in front of that G. Column 13 is a bingo lane through the H of Sazhen. I've got the over prefix in column 7, beginning with the O of Jows. Again, my opponent provides nothing new. So I have Vaunter. I've got 10 minutes on my clock, 23 tiles left, so I'm not in any time trouble. Just trying to make sure I don't have anything through the D and the E. They are the most likely looking floaters. Can't see anything through the E or the D. So time to wreck this nice looking rack. It's good to play off 6 tiles when there's only 20 left because of expedition at the end of the game. 33 points. Well, that's pretty good from a random draw of 6 tiles. Just wondering about Variosa. Not feeling too good about that. Variolas is good through an L. Just scanning the board at the floaters. And also looking in row A for plays beginning above the G. Can't see anything. But the value of the V, I think, is shown here. It is my only scoring tile, and a play of OVA or AVO somewhere would leave a good rack leave of AIRS. 17 tiles in the bag. Now I do have an I for going next to the Q, so I need to be aware of 6-letter plays ending in I. Can't see one with this rack. I'm looking in column 3, parallel to jibe, to see if I've got a 5-letter play beginning with the V next to id. But again, it's the EL which is providing the problem. Except it's not, because I've got Varsel in that spot, and that's going to score pretty well. Probably in the order of 40 points. Remaining tiles, somewhat bingo-y, but no blanks and only one S. My lead is 82 points, so a bingo now would destroy that lead. So if my opponent doesn't bingo and I'm able to play Varsel, I should be in a reasonable position. Great, he doesn't bingo. I don't have Varsel, I don't have the L. That's annoying. So, I could play Vaz in that spot. I don't want to do that. Close to avoiders and avoiders. If my A had been an E, I would have that bingo. So what to do? Is there somewhere for Avo? I could play voids across here through the D of Scarted. That would take out the E and the D as floaters. A bingo for my opponent would probably give him a slight lead. But there are quite a few bingo lanes on this board. There's column 2, which is pretty good. Just again looking at this column 3 to see if I have a 5-letter play. I don't think I do. Well, I think I ought to play through the E and the D of Scarted. The S is not massively useful, but I'm reluctant to see it go. Only 16 points. That's doesn't feel great. 7 minutes on my clock. $26 points for, or more for, what about avoids? I think this is quite good. It takes out the D and the E as floaters. It burns off 5 tiles when there's only 15 in the bag. It creates no new bingo lanes. And the only hotspot is really down from the V, which isn't particularly helpful for my opponent or particularly high scoring. And 28 points is a good score. So I'm 60 ahead. This is going to put me 90 ahead, which is going to put me in better position to survive a bingo from my opponent, if indeed he does bingo in column 2, for example. Pretty good. There probably are some bingos here. Although none comes to mind. I think Caperer is not good. But really, in terms of looking at bingos, I think there's only this one lane in column 2. And my E would have to go next to the R. So I'm probably looking at plays beginning RE. And I don't think there's a bingo there which satisfies that. I've got I was going to say repave, I don't have that. I have Veep in column 8. 10 tiles in the bag, and a pretty bingo-y. Maybe I should do something about column 2. Perhaps by playing in column 3 parallel to jibed. My C could go in front of id. I have caper in that spot. Pretty good. It would open up row N for a bingo. But it would have to have an S immediately underneath caper, and any such bingo would open up the triple word squares in row O. But caper's good, it scores well, and it takes out the column 2 bingo lane. And I actually do have the letters for caper. And if caperer were good, then I would have a playable bingo. But I'm not going to risk it. I have too much doubt about it. Column 15 is a bingo lane through the N. But that at the end doesn't look particularly useful. 6 minutes on my clock, 7 minutes on my opponent's clock. Avoids also took out the column 7 bingo lane. So I'm quite pleased with that move. It's better than I thought it was. My P could go after BA in row J. But I can't see a way of making it score twice. And I'm wondering if my opponent is close to a bingo. If he does bingo in column 2, I'm in reasonable shape with this rack to score 20 or 30 points. And also if he bingos, there will be just 3 tiles in the bag. Iying's not sure about that massive score, 90 points, so I am going to challenge it. Great, it comes off. Phew. Okay, so I know what my opponent's got. I don't think caper is going to give him a playable bingo. I don't think there is an anagram of Iying's. I'm trying to see those letters in my mind. They're not that great. So, this is caper, 46 points, which is huge. Yeah, I wouldn't want to play caperer anyway, I don't think. Opening up row O as a 9-timer, I'd really have to put some work in to satisfy myself that I wasn't giving my opponent a bingo. Five tiles in the bag, and I can probably work out what they are from my opponent's previous move. So they are A, E, L, T, T, A, E, L, T, T. Now onto a P, I would have purified. Well, I don't think there's any merit in looking for bingos with this rack. Very few bingo lanes, and I've already scanned around them and can't see anything. It's not that great a rack. I do have a U for going in front of the G of unwiring, but I can't see a 6-letter play beginning with U, and in column 15 I can't see a 6-letter play ending in I. I'm 130 points ahead, so this game is won. My scoring tile is the F. I'm just looking around for places to play it. Haven't seen anything yet. I'm looking either to play the F or to sort out the rack. It partly depends on what's left in the bag after my opponent plays. My F can go above the A of Boona. So I could play Riff. Well, I could if RO was good. I could play Diff, keeping IU, RE. 9 points, so 4 tiles in the bag, so a 3-letter play works. Should I be blocking row N as a bingo lane? Tricky. Tricky to block. If my opponent does bingo, he might not even get the play doubled, and he'd be opening up row O. And in any event, if he bingos, he won't be winning. So it's not a massive priority to block that. I could block it. I could play fired. Actually, this does appeal. Because it's going to score a lot. If my opponent has a bingo, and he can still play it, he will score a lot more than he could if I'd avoided this, and I'm emptying the bag. So that's what's against this play. 27 points. If I played diff in row C, 29 points. I think I'd prefer playing diff. Very tricky to judge between the two, especially as they are both winning moves. I can't see a way of playing down from the V because I've got nothing to go next to the Y, so I simply can't do that. 3 minutes on my clock. I think I will go with diff. If my opponent bingos, then I get another go. Not a great rack. And my opponent almost certainly will be bingoing. I have no scoring tiles, so although I will get another go, I can't expect a massive score. 76 points. So I'm looking at the bottom right to see if I can play underneath ceiling. Well, it would have to end in an I or a U. Not very likely. And always takes nothing after it. My opponent's got an A, so he's definitely going out. I have one more play to make. I've got 2 minutes to find it, or to make it rather. Just wondering what I've got in column 15 going through the G. Yeah, probably not the time to make this observation, but if I'd played fired, then ceiling would have played 1 square below. 2 minutes left. I have uteri and chi. 17 points. Can I eke out anything more? I can't see a 6-letter play beginning with the U. Now, do I have anything which goes after MU? Well, T does, but ITN, not good. Or an unlikely combination of tiles. Mer, not good. Well, I haven't seen anything apart from uteri. So I think I'm going to miss out on getting 500, because I'll be losing 2 on countback. Is there a higher scoring spot? Well, not that I'm going to find in the next 30 seconds. Just wait for my opponent to play his A. Yep, that's fine. Pass to end the game. Oh, of course this is ISC, so my opponent gets double the tiles. So I do keep my 500 score. And the final score is 423 to my opponent, 501 to me, a winning margin of 78 points. Let's see what I missed. It was me to go first, and it was a choice between Jows and Jails, and I prefer Jows. My opponent's rack, he plays Geoidal, a nice double-double. This was my rack, and I have Timbrels for 95, and that's best. My opponent's rack, he plays Ox, and I draw a bingo from the bag with Unwiring, and that was the only bingo, and B3 was the highest scoring spot for it. Actually, I probably should have put the blank as the first end to reduce a score from A1, but that's a minor observation. My opponent's rack, that looks pretty good. No bingo there, but he did have jibed. And this was my rack, which looked pretty good, but didn't mature for quite a while. In fact, it deteriorated. I played Viney for 29. I could have got 10 more points for Zin at K3. Well, Zin takes an E after it, as well as a C and an S, so I think I still prefer Viney. My opponent's rack, what does he have here? Well, no bingo. Plays Keto, and then this was a rack I really struggled with. And the 52 looks good, as does the 49, but they're both burning the blank, so not so good. Zell, K3 down here, keeps double N and the F, so not great. What did I do? Wow, is this where I played Elf? For just 14? Well, maybe low Zen at I3 would have been better. Because the rack lead keeping the dupe again isn't that great. But all of the plays which retain the blank don't score very much, so a tricky one. It would need Quackle analysis, I think, to determine what was best there. Anyway, this was my opponent's rack. Scarted was the only bingo, so a good spot by him. My rack, awful, apart from the fact that Sazhem was playable. My opponent's rack, he plays Quep. My rack, not a lot on offer here. This is where I played Boona. It doesn't feature. Not sure why. Because I think it's pretty much as good as a lot going on here. And for example, K12 Nova, not great because it's opening up row O. My opponent's rack, he doesn't have a bingo. Plays Or. And now I have Vaunter, nowhere to play it. Error of L12. Well, again, that's opening up triple word squares, so not great. I prefer Vaunter, my play. My opponent's rack, he has Mendigos and Smidgen. Through the D. Neither spotted. He plays Mo. And now I had Avoids, which took out those floaters. But I also had Zoaria. Wow, making Roop. Zoaria down here. Fabulous. That certainly was the play. And it retains the S. So Zoaria, well done if you spotted that. That's fabulous. Avoids looks fine amongst the also ran plays. This was my opponent's rack when he phonied with Iyings. Iying is good, it just doesn't take an S. Now, Caperer is good and would have scored 100 points. So by playing Caper, I was sacrificing 54 points. I knew what my opponent's rack was. He had Iyings. Yeah, I should have given some more thought to that. I did have doubts about Caperer, which was probably the main reason for not playing it. And I think I should have been able to think through whether my opponent had a bingo through either the E or the R. So I think that was a miss. I played Caper, which did secure the win. My opponent's rack, He plays Oi. And now, this is where I played Diff for 29. I didn't block row N. I knew that my opponent probably had a bingo. I thought about playing Fired. That wouldn't have blocked him. And I think that was the real problem. I couldn't see a way of playing in row N, which took out row O. So I went for Diff. And these are the bingos my opponent had. He played Ceiling. And then I played U-try for 17. I could have got 22. For playing 2e across here, that would have been 1 point better than my play. So, pretty exciting game. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I will see you next time.